All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of GAR Capital. Welcome to our GAR Capital YouTube channel. Welcome to all of those watching on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me today. Today is Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Glad to be with you. Let's go ahead and get started. We got CPI this morning. That hit came in line with expectations. We'll take a look at that here in a second. But let's go first to the futures. Dow futures 44,082 flat. NASDAQ futures just went red. It was green on the initial move higher from the inline CPI number. S&P futures flat 6013. The Russell's up about 0.69%. Let's take a look at that really quickly. Russell has been a big mover, pretty volatile, and maybe possibly head and shoulders. We need to get above 35. We're going to get above 36 maybe. We can target right up here at 2460. This is the Russell. Use around 2400 as support team on RTY, but it is bouncing today, at least that. So the small caps are gaining. Most of that is due to earnings on the high beta names. That came in better than expected. Crude oil is down about 0.54%, 67.74 a barrel. Gasoline futures down about 0.30%. You know what I haven't talked about in a while, guys, that has been rather quiet? How about the dollar? Anyone traveling overseas anytime soon? You're a happy camper if you got dollars on you. Look at that move. Look at the arrows. Remember that level of support? We were waiting for that level. And right around that 100 level, we're waiting for that break. What a bounce. Even after the election, continued higher. We're starting to get to a resistance, though, which is kind of going to be a tailwind for commodities. For example, like crude oil, possibly, and copper, and some of those commodities, metals. Maybe gold catches a bit as well. But the dollar, even with this backdrop of a higher dollar, Bitcoin's at near all-time highs of 90,000. So that's a good thing. But imagine if the dollar goes down at here, right around this resistance. Bitcoin might take an extra leg higher. 100 grand is a possibility by the end of the year. Absolutely. But with Bitcoin, you're paying for the volatility. That's the ticket of admission or price of admission. It's just ups and downs and left and rights. We still have a gap to fill here at 78K. So if anyone is looking to buy the dip, for example, that'd probably be a good spot to do it. Like I've always said with Bitcoin, the easiest way, guys, is just dollar cost average over time and leave it alone. It's very, very difficult to trade. It's not even worth trading, to be quite honest. Just own it. Keep it simple. Gold futures are bouncing. Remember, we're at 2,600, up about 0.49%. If the dollar does fall back down from that level of resistance, we may have to do a little counter trade here. I do like gold. Take a look at that. If we can hold around 2,600 team, I like gold for more upside. We do have PPI tomorrow, so that might move gold a little bit in terms of the future side. But maybe we can recapture that 50-day. Maybe if we get above, 2625, we can target 2667. It won't happen overnight, that's for sure. But let's see if we can move that over to options. GLD, pretty similar in terms of the setup, technically speaking. You can see that bounce here. Now you're at 241. You got a price gap here at 245. So keep an eye on the 245 calls for GLD. I'm going to put that on the watch list for the week coming up. And that's really going to be based, guys, on the dollar. Okay, so we're going to use around 106.50 as our resistance. If the dollar starts pulling back, then we're definitely going to keep an eye on like gold and silver. And we've traded these before, so nothing too new for everybody who has been with us for a minute. Copper futures down about 0.36%. You can see silver up 1%. Bitcoin up about 0.54%, down 0.54%. I talked about that. Ethereum, we do have a gap to fill on Ethereum, so I think I talked about that yesterday. Yeah, got the gap to fill right around 3,000. So that's what kind of the level you're looking for if you're looking to buy Ethereum on a pullback. You're just not there yet. In terms of yesterday, we had a couple of nice trades. We had Netflix yesterday, we had Google yesterday, and we had Nvidia. All great trades. Well done to the team. Trophy room on fire. Great stuff all around. Just wanted to show that off because we're having an excellent week. And we want to continue that, of course. But with CPI coming in, let me read that data point here. CPI core, this is stripping auto and gas, 3.3% year over year versus 3.3 expected. The CPI for October came in at 2.6% year over year with a 0.2% month over month increase. Again, that met all expectations. So moving forward, what am I looking for? S&P 500 futures. I think this is a better setup than the NASDAQ. If we can break above 60.34, I would target the all-time highs of 60.54, 60.53. That gets you about 20 points. I just talked about that on the futures chat. NASDAQ futures, I've had a alert there for 21,252 now since yesterday. And look at, we just keep rejecting it. So keep knocking on the door on the short term, that's for sure, but just nothing yet. But if you're looking at this chart, I mean, technically speaking, that's your flagpole, bull flag. We just need to get this confirmation of 252. So if anyone's going to ask, what do I think the market goes? I think the market goes higher. I think we actually get to all-time highs by the end of the week, in my opinion. November's very strong, team. This is what November is. This is from Brano. Hey, boss. Sorry to hear that Nick passed away. Might want to share what happened. Yes, unfortunately, it was a car accident. That's where he passed away. This happened last week on Wednesday, Tuesday in the evening. Just an accident. Just that's why it's so important to drive carefully out there. You never know what can happen. But we miss him and we love him for sure. And he's always in our thoughts. We miss you, Nikki. Let's see if I have any questions here on Instagram. Good morning, everyone. How do you see GME chart, please? This is from the Instagram. Yeah, we did GME already. We caught that. Right now it's just pretty much choppy. You're pretty much just looking for a retrace of that 28 level. Maybe it was a gap there or something. Yeah, you can see kind of that setup. Nice over recovery, but once it breaks above 30, I think GME may have more to go. We may get that squeeze higher. So place an alert at least above 30, and we can see if we can get a little more room. This is what happens, when you have high speculation. We're front running a lot of really good news, guys. I'm going to talk about that later on this weekend when I do our weekly video. Kind of going to do a little macro recap. That dollar, that's a big deal. If that dollar breaks out, what's going to happen? And what if the dollar rejects? How high can we go in terms of stocks? November is always strong, just a heads up. So crude oil broke down our alert. Let's see here. This is open interest. Sorry about that. Nothing really to do here in terms of that. And XLE, I don't see anything here of the daily. You do have a price gap on XLE. So if crude oil continues to fall, team, keep an eye on this daily gap here at 90. Might be hitting some resistance. So XLE puts, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on GLD calls. Write that down in my notes. I'm still old school, paper and pen. I'll write this down. GLD and XLE puts. Puts to 90. So puts. Just make sure to check the volume. I think we had calls. What was the other one we talked about, team? Gold, right? Yeah, the 245 calls. That's what I'm looking for. To 245, 247. Okay. Just give you the heads up. What is the best covered call strategy for Tesla? 400. And depending on your time frame, 400 is just that kind of magic spot because it's that's basically all-time highs. You'll still get demand, which will give you premiums, and you're still further enough away where you can collect without too much worry. I mean, if that thing goes nuclear and you go to 400, you're up about $70 on where it is currently. I don't think you'll be too upset, but I would say 400 would be a good call coverage strategy for Tesla because that's the all-time highs. That was from Nick on Instagram. What do I think about AMD? Another Instagram question from Brand Ragnarsson. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, man. All right. Oh man, I was like, am I tripping? Does this look like kind of a weird cup and handle? Oh, that's kind of backwards. Yeah, 140.94 is support. Once that breaks down, now we're talking about the 130 zone. So let's place an alert there. It's bouncing from it, but let's place an alert there below 141 or so. And remember, we just stuck in this little channel here. If we go down a little more, right around 96.55, that's a great spot for AMD to go. If we were to get at some kind of big pullback, I think at worst, by the end, like worst case scenario, we get to 122 and we tag it. That's the July lows. I don't think we'll get that low. I would say probably your end of year support based on rates going lower, the dollar going lower, hitting resistance. I would say at worst we get to like 133, 135. That's what I think. That would just be the retest of this of the September lows. And it's a very different macroeconomic environment now and September. So that'll give it to AMD's benefit. AMC. That's another Instagram question. I'm going to the daily makes it look crazy. Yeah, just a whole lot of nothing. I'd skip AMC. Unless you know something that I don't think there's anything to do there. And that could be a lot. Captain Louis says, and will Square break the triple top? Triple tops usually get broken. That's for sure. Let's kind of zoom this out a little bit. Yeah, 90.71. That's what we're looking for. We're at 87.14. I like it. The question is really, what's the volume going to look like for the 95s to 100s? That's going to be the target. And once we break out of there, 113 is your upside, which looks really, really good. So I dig Square right there. That looks pretty nice. Let's see if we break 91 at least, or 90.71. I've had that alert now for a minute. All right, let's head to Instagram. Here, I mean, not Instagram. Going to YouTube. Sorry. Hey, Carlos. Apple. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, Apple. It is up. Oh, it's down pre-market. Yeah, it's just holding on to this channel here. This range. Got to get above 227. That's really it. We're still above support of 220, but tick-tock in terms of Apple. Coca-Cola. KO. You can tell risk-off environment when Coca-Cola's down. Coca-Cola's not a bad company. The question is, why would I buy Coca-Cola with a 3% yield? It's an example. I don't know exactly what the yield is now. When I can go ahead and buy Bitcoin and make triple-digit returns in a week. It's an example. Or buy Tesla or any other high-growth company, Shopify or Spotify, for example. That's where KO is going on. Coca-Cola doesn't have the demand. It only gets high demand when there's fear in the market. It's kind of its own VIX in a sense. So Coca-Cola here, pullbacks, very nice. If you were looking to buy at a zone, it would be right around 60. Pretty much in the buy zone. You're not going to get anywhere higher than that in terms of short term. If you break above 73, eventually it will. You're just not going to get it tomorrow. So around 60 to 63, if you want to go ahead and buy some Coca-Cola, that's your best place to do it. Let's see, Rivian. Mm. Yeah, right below 982 would be a short, but doesn't look the best here. What are some stocks to look at during this presidency that haven't pumped yet? Oof. In terms of anything more to go, like anything additional, we're pricing in a lot of really good news. We're front running a lot. So I think the speculation meter is running like crazy, which is fair. You know, new administration or returning of an administration, you know, regulations being cut, tax cuts. Obviously, that's going to spur the economy. Very similar to what we had in 2017. Um, in terms of what sectors, I mean, I think everything has gone up in terms of what people were expecting. If you guys remember the podcast on the list, we talked about Bitcoin, we talked about Tesla, we talked about the banks, energy companies, and we took care of them. But even profit take is going to happen. It's not like that's nothing that we're not prepared for. But in terms of what other, I guess, sectors, I couldn't tell you because we don't know what the cabinet's going to look like, at least fully, and we don't know what's going to be the priority of implementation of policy on day one or the first 100 days. The first 100 days is usually how historians see the presidents when they're in new administration on what's the prioritization for what they want to do. Let's see. SE. All right, taking a look at the daily. Oh, yeah, we have a gap to fill here at 98.53. Yeah, if it starts breaking below the lows, this is actually a short, and which would be okay. It actually wouldn't be terrible if it went to 89, because that would just be a retest of the breakout. Technically speaking, this is a nice cup and handle. So just kind of retest the top end of it, and that'll actually be technically sound. Let's see. Got tons of questions. FCX. Let's see it. Yeah, remember we talked about the dollar this morning? How that might help copper, might help gold, silver. So we need to see if that dollar rejects. I think 106.49 was the mark. And if it does, yes, FCX will benefit as copper goes higher, maybe around the 48 level or so, but we need a lot. Maybe we're setting up, not even, I can't even say inverse head and shoulders. But what we have been doing is retesting this top trend line, downward trend line, and we've bounced around that area every time. So maybe we have a little more pressure with the dollar and we kind of get to around the 41 zone or 40 zone, and that seems to where the buyers are coming in. So we'll keep an eye on it. IZM says, "Hey Carlos, I am an electrician interested in solar and energy stocks. How do I track them? How do they correlate with soy? I don't know the correlation with soy, but in terms of energy and solar stocks, there's tons of ETFs out there. I don't know any in the top of my head, but I can tell you is that like First Solar, Enphase Energy, those are some of the names that are like the green energy. There's tons more, but keep in mind that those kind of companies, it's not quite profitable just yet. So it's still in a speculative mode. I mean, how many people have solar panels in their house? It's still getting there. I don't think it's more dot-com boom type numbers where we're kind of in that pre-zone. Um, Really the issue with alternative energy is that we make so much oil in the United States. We're the number one producer on planet Earth. So, at the end of the day, we really don't need renewables unless you're looking at it at an environmental level. And Wall Street don't care about no environmental level. It's all about speculation and how much money they make and how much money can they make. And I don't know if this administration is going to be friendly to alternative energy, yet Elon Musk is kind of the pioneer of mass transit with alternative energy or electricity, electric cars. I don't know how it's going to go. We will see as we go. But any kind of ETF, you can just search for it for any kind of alternative fuels ETF or alternative energy ETFs. There's tons. How do they correlate with SPY? He said SPY. They don't. That would be considered a high beta, meaning that it's going to move a little more than the S&P. Buy Tesla today, long for 400. I just had a question regarding buying the covered calls on 400, or selling covered calls at 400. Listen, if we can get back to 300, I think that's probably your best bet there, because that would just be a retest of the breakout. The problem is that we have tons of gaps to fill. So as much as everyone would love 400 on Tesla, we have to understand that things get, let me see if I can get this study. Momentum studies. Yeah, 70 RSI, we're overbought. That's all. So a little bit more of a pullback would be nice. If we get to 300, that'd be a pretty good buy zone. Again, just a retest of the highs. You're about $37 a little early on NAM. All right, let's see if we get there. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up with one more Instagram question or a round of Instagram questions. You guys got questions. Thoughts on crypto? You guys think it will continue running? Yeah, of course. Continue running the way it's running now? No. I think Bitcoin does take at least a breather. Once we crack 100,000, God knows how many sell orders are there. So we'll probably like wick it and then fall really, really fast. That's happened many times throughout Bitcoin and certain key round numbers. When Bitcoin hit 10K, oh my God. When Bitcoin hit 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 60K. When Bitcoin made back the all-time highs it once had, back in 2021, that was a big sell order because everyone was made whole. So again, it's really based on how many people are looking to take profits. That's what's going to be Bitcoin because it's finite. You can't make more of it. So I do expect it to go higher, but I do expect at least some kind of a breather or at least some profit taking here and there. Hello from Italy. Hey, hello from Florida. Let's take a look at Shop. Shop had a big day yesterday. We know what happens then. People take profits. So um, we talked about Shopify earlier this week. I said that we may have a short squeeze, but now we have opportunities of a pullback if we get there. Break below 100, guess where we're going? We're going to go to 92. So we'll get an opportunity to either buy the dip or to short it back to the earnings gap fill. So one way or another, we're going to get ours, I believe. So just got to be a little patient. Unless we start breaking above 120, then it's it's going to go to the moon. That's usually what happens in bull markets, at least short term. All right. Thank you again for watching us, team. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you like what you see. More great content to come. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you guys on the Discord server. Appreciate you guys, as always, supporting Gar Capital. We love to do it. 10 years in service, and we'll continue to do on, well, till whenever the hell we want. Have a good one, guys.